The Arthurian legend, it's a fascinating myth. People just never get sick of it.
The central cast, there are 4 youngsters. They are almost entirely newcomers.
I'm Merlin. I was going to go and do something completely different.
You get to play the badass. What's not to like?
Thank you.
But at the moment, it just feels like we're just kind of on a ride.
Every day I wake up, I go, oh, great, I get to go to work today and be Prince Arthur.
For them, it is the beginning of an extraordinary adventure.
I've got a mid-2 shot on these guys, exiting right to left.
We're very conscious that if you take Arthurian legend, you could choose anywhere from about the 6th century into the 14th or 15th century. So what we've done is not try and choose a specific era. We're building a world that feels real within the legend, and it borrows from that Dark Ages medieval period.
And action!
We all have this bizarre feeling that, you know, the legend of Arthur is history. There are roots in Saxon folklore, but it is a story, consequently, that can be messed around with and can, you know, you can put a new spin on it. Bottom line is, it's all myth, it's all legend, it's actually not, it's none of it's real.
Shall I walk straight to the back and then forward?
Yes, good. This will be the first scene inside the courtyard, the first time we see the king on the balcony, the first time we see Morgana. It reveals the heart of Camelot to the audience.
This man, Thomas James Collins, is adjudged guilty of conspiring to use enchantments and magic. I, Uther Pendragon, have decreed that such practices are banned.
The fact that sorcery is there, consequently, it gives you this feeling all the time of this nasty underbelly that's sort of bubbling away and threatens to topple Camelot. Merlin is constantly coming up against these and sort of seeing what's going on and trying to sort of deal with them without being found out.
Are you using magic again?
No.
The take we had right from the beginning and was really quite simple. We wanted to look at Merlin, Arthur, Guinevere, Morgana when they were younger, before they were famous, if you like. That's the perfect way of putting it.
How's your knee walking coming along? Oh, don't run away!
It's not period in stiff frocks removed from an audience today. It's young kids in this extraordinary magical world, but that kids today could relate to.
It's whether I wear this little tease or give them a night they'll really remember.
We had to cast young actors and potentially actors who'd done very little to carry a very, very major BBC production, a prime-time show in a prime-time slot. And that's always challenging. 3 of our cast are fairly unknown. Colin had done some TV, but only guest parts. Katie had done a film, very little else. Bradley had done some TV, again, guest parts. Angel had done a little bit more, Angel who plays Guinevere. Absolutely none of them had done anything as major or challenging as a role like this. And they have, all 3 of them, risen to it with extraordinary maturity, actually.
3 guy track only. 8 camera mark.
Action!
What I'm trying to do is to go from the building blocks, to start with each actor and say, OK, let's trace your character through the first 3 episodes. Let's develop your backstory. Let's give you some grounding, to give them something when we start hitting the floor with the speed we're going to have to shoot. God, they know who their character is.
Merlin, remember, you're here to work.
They know how that character's likely to react to the other people they meet, to the events they've got to play out.
She looks great, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Some people are just born to be queen.
You've got this moment of serving with Gwen. Actually, it's really important that you just had that moment of Morgana. Oh my God, she's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's just the complete obliviousness of Merlin, just in the sort of...
To Gwen, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your relationship with Gwen has this wonderful dislocatedness, which is very funny for us, the third party, to be watching.
Yeah.
It's charming, and you know, we want to clip you around the head and say, she's over here, look.
Yeah.
But equally, we know who she's going to turn out to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, to me, I think it's quite important that I look as Gwen as almost, you know, a bit of a body, like a mate, you know, like a bit of a tomboy type, you know, the sort of girl you'd almost punch in the arm, you know, it's the kind of, you know, the sort of
You do not
body.
see her in those terms.
Yeah. James is brilliant. He's handling the whole thing really well. Like, probably anybody else would be tearing their hair out and going a bit crazy. But he always has a smile on his face, and he's always getting the best out of you if he can. He's doing an awesome job, I think.
James is like, he's so lovely and so calm, and, you know, if he is under pressure, I've never seen him, you know, fly off the handle or even get annoyed. And he's always there to kind of take time with you, the actors, and you know, you feel like you're in really real safe hands, basically.
What we said about you and Morgana is you are in admiration of her.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no jealousy.
No, and it would never be you. You just never thought it could be me. That hasn't crossed your mind.
Yeah. Because historically as well, that's, you know, it's like knowing your place, isn't it? It's like...
It's knowing your place, it's not going to happen. And then when it does for us in whatever series it is, fantastic.
Yeah.
For now, know your place.
Yeah.
Roll sound, please.
Be careful, Martha.
And action.
Who'd want to marry Arthur?
Come on, Gwen, I thought you liked those real rough, tough, save-the-world kind of men.
No, I like much more ordinary men like you.
Gwen, believe me, I'm not ordinary.
I didn't mean you. Obviously, not you, but just, you know, I like very ordinary men like you.
It's lovely. Okay, that's fun.
Cool, yeah.
I need a pop on Arthur from both sides of the girls.
The ambition of this series is considerable. There just aren't days where we have scenes of two people sat at a table having a little quiet chat. This is pretty much all about the tournament, which is at the heart of episode 2. We've got 3 stunt guys and a coordinator in there, doubling for Valiant, for Ewan and for Arthur. Equally, we've got 2 of our actors who are doing some of their own fight sequences because the script demands that they take their helmets off at a particular place. So Will and Bradley have been doing their own fight rehearsals. I'll shoot the fight right through with you guys.
I was going to say I'd quite like to do as much of it as possible in terms of...
You will get that chance.
Yeah.
But no, do it and go for it, and the more we can see you, the better. We need to believe that Arthur is absolutely going for this. Will and Bradley are loving the fighting. They may not have had a huge amount of training, but they wouldn't want to admit to it. As far as they're concerned out there, they're medieval knights and they're born to it.
The first thing I noticed with James is he's sort of reading you early on, and he tries to get a grasp of what you're about. Well, this is how I felt. What I learned from this is he's got very good people skills, which I think he's worked on. It seems as though he's developed them. You don't ever feel sort of alienated, and he's sympathetic kind of to your point of view and where you're coming from.
My honourable guests, I give you Prince Arthur, your champion.
And then this moment with Morgana.
Which is quite farcical, I think, towards the end.
Yes, I think we'll play with the levels of that. And by the way, I've reinstated My Lady, My Champion, because I love the way that started.
Yes.
Gives you a moment at the head of the red carpet where the thought behind it is absolutely, God, I love you.
Yeah. My lady.
My champion.
Up the carpet, so imagine, you know, they come through the door and they're going to have this as they walk between the tables towards the top table. You are escorting the King's ward.
Mm-hmm.
Just as it was scripted, just as Camelot and the regime would want it to be.
Yeah. That was some tournament final.
Tell me about it. It's not every day a girl gets to save her prince.
I wouldn't say I needed exactly saving.
I'm sure I would have thought of something.
So you're too proud to admit you were saved by a girl?
Because I wasn't.
You know what? I wish Valiant was escorting me.
Me too. Then I wouldn't have to listen to you.
Fine.
Fine.
What you try to give a young actor, and what James did in those rehearsals, is to give the actor a map of the journey their character goes on, so that when they're arriving on set, they know where they've come from, they know where they're going, and they know how to pitch that performance. And I think it's a process that helps him as well as them, because it means he's rehearsed that level, and when he's watching that monitor, he knows, okay, that's a little too emotional too soon, because we've got that part of the journey to go through yet, and we're anticipating it.
Again, and they're all very impressed by, this is page 16, by Valiant, who's got his northern charm. And he's, you know, he's going to be generous, and he's going to look completely dashing, got a bit more maturity than Arthur, a little bit more world savvy. He's already fought.
It's got that air of mystery that no one knows about as well.
Where's he come from? It's about finding a shorthand that we can communicate with on set. It's about finding levels of warmth and anger and pitches that we can play at. And then, once we've got all those sort of foundations set, they will be far better prepared to charge into some of the plot.
Yeah. 442, take 1, A camera.
And B camera.
A camera.
And action.
Anthony and I have been working on our father-son dynamic off-screen, largely due to the fact that he'll have something and I'll borrow it off him, and then he'll say, you will give me that back, and I'll go, yeah, and then not give it him back, at least for a while. I continue to borrow his Nintendo DS, which I don't think he's best pleased about most of the time, partly because I'm not too bad at the old brain training and he's not too good. I believe that Arthur looks up to his father considerably, and that he's obviously a major role model. Well, there's that moment at this that I quite liked that was written after Valiant's killed, where he looks up at his father, and it's kind of a look of, I imagine, this is how I imagine doing it, is having the sword, pulling it out of the body and just throwing it away, and just kind of like, sort of staring up at him as if to say, you should have believed me.
Oh, yeah.
Lupe! Bush, bang, bush, and then he goes down there, we don't see any blood, he goes away, and Dad, did you see that? No, because I'm playing with my Nintendo DS. Look at him. And it's pink.
I think there are two things you always worry about with young actors. They throw themselves into the part, and they throw themselves into, working very hard at it. Their stunt rehearsals, their costumes, everything they can do, they do. But this shoot goes on for 31 weeks, and they have to pace themselves, because I know that come week 25, they won't feel like this at all. And it's a question, the old hands like Anthony Head have been on these shoots. Well, he's done it many times. And they're aware that you pace yourself. You don't shut yourself in this fast.
Action, Tony.
Right to the realm.
I think the load is spread wide enough. They're not carrying every episode on their own. I think that's what you've got to remember. That each character, there are episodes later where Arthur's the most prominent character, episodes even where Morgana's the most prominent character. So it's not always, just about Merlin or just about another character. So I hope that helps.
These four central actors carry the show. Yes, we've got a couple of older, more recognised faces who are pillars at the centre of the cast. But these four characters, Merlin and Arthur, Gwen and Morgana, are the iconic, the legendary characters about whom this series is.
To lead a 13-part series requires not just only talent, but maturity, skill, and the knowledge you need to pace yourself through a story that big.
I've always wanted to do acting. It's the only thing I wanted to do. From I could speak, the first thing I was wanting from Santa Claus was puppets and theatres and things, just things to do with performance. And I got involved in pantomimes and things whenever I was really young, but not any professional work, just sort of amateur productions and things.
Where would I find guys, the court physician?
And yeah, I just progressed from there. I did drama at school and went and did a National Diploma in Performing Arts, and then went to drama school in Glasgow. And yeah, it just then all kicked off from there.
I've worked with Colin Morgan before. He's guested on Doctor Who and was fantastic. And your eye is drawn to him. He's got a real quality and he's charming, and you find yourself responding to him. And that's an exciting thing to see, and to see how he harnesses that and how he shapes that ability.
Action!
My family are really excited about the whole thing. They're also really excited about it coming out, because whenever I was doing theatre work, they would be able to come over, see me in rehearsal sometime, or see the show. But with this, because it's not coming on until a few months down the line, they're just a bit sort of wondering what's going on, how's it all working. Even though from a young age I was really wanting to be an actor, I suppose parents don't really think that it's going to happen because it doesn't appear to be a realistic kind of job. But it just proves that it is. You know, you can go and do it. I mean, I remember careers advisors telling me, going, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we said, oh, an actor. And they go, right. You ever thought about teaching? You know, it's kind of putting you off in different directions. But I'm just glad that it's starting to work out. Yeah.
It has kind of sunk in, starring in a big drama. I think I kind of, I haven't kind of really realised how big it is, I guess, or kind of what a big deal it is, because it's kind of hard when, it's different when you're here and you're kind of all together, and you know, when you think about the kind of scale of it, you kind of think, yeah, it's quite a big deal. It's quite exciting.
Really.
So happy?
Yeah. Angel Colby, she's always been someone that I've been watching thinking, you're really beautiful, but you've got a real charm, you've got a real substance, and you've got a real kind of magical, gentle quality. And I'm thrilled that this is a big part for her, because I think it's her time.
Lovely. Cue for a take. 427, take one. And action.
My mum's really proud, obviously, and all my friends are just like, oh, it's really exciting. What are you doing? What's that?
Just moving something.
I've basically told them, you know, that it's kind of this new drama and the slot that it's going to take out, you know, Saturday night prime time, and they're all just really, really excited for me, basically.
For me, it was always a case of either becoming a footballer or an actor, pretty much all the way through, because the two things that sort of inspired me the most. I love playing football. It's something I just adore doing. When I realised I wasn't going to play for Arsenal or lift the World Cup at any stage in my career, it's sort of like, OK, let's be realistic here.
Bradley James I've never worked with before, and there was just something very charismatic about him and very physically appealing. He looks like a warrior. He looks like he could, get onto a horse and joust, or, pick up a sword and get in and amongst it. But as well as that, he had a charm. He was interesting, and there was something fantastic about putting him opposite Colin and seeing whether they could create a kind of odd couple relationship.
My mum's kind of, as I've got jobs, she's been really excited, and of course I landed the role of Arthur, and sort of, my ear kind of got screamed at as I had to sort of hold the phone over there, which isn't like her. Normally she'd be like, oh, good, well done, yeah, really pleased, yeah, super, well, good luck. Whereas with this, she was like, ah! I was like, oh, wow, okay. Which was great, and it made, put a big smile on my face. And my dad's, my dad's always been quite supportive about it. I think it surprised him, because he's not really seen me act before, so to sort of see the step up from, when I was 10 playing Prince Charming.
Katie McGrath is just drop dead gorgeous, and she kind of looks. I mean, she brings that status of the mysterious princess. She feels very rooted to that period. She feels very kind of regal.
Knight Valiant, may I present the Lady Morgana?
She is the First Lady of Camelot, and she knows that there's no one else who's going to take that position from her. And she uses it, and she plays up to it, and she knows her power, and she knows her strengths. She knows what she has to do to get people to do what it is that she wants. Uther, Arthur. The only person you see her being really sort of kind with is Gwen, because she has those kind feelings for her, and I don't think she'd ever manipulate Gwen in any way.
We have to prove Gwen's innocence.
We're trying.
Please, just tell me what I can do to help.
We need Arthur.
Arthur?
There's a monster, an Avank, in the water supply. That's what's causing the plague.
Well, we must tell Uther.
The Avank is a creature forged by magic. Telling Uther wouldn't save Gwen. He'd just blame her for conjuring it.
So what are we to do?
We need to destroy it, then the plague will stop, and Uther may see sense.
And that's why you need Arthur.
He's our best chance. But he won't want to disobey the king.
Leave that to me.
I suppose there are two central pillars in the middle of the regular cast, and they are Gaius, Merlin's teacher, and the court physician, who's being played by Richard Wilson.
Seems you're a hero.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
No. I knew it from the moment I met you. Well, you saved my life, remember?
But that was magic.
And now it seems we finally found a use for it.
What do you mean?
I saw how you saved Arthur's life.
No.
Perhaps that's its purpose.
His character is an avuncular figure. You know, he's part of the Camelot establishment. And he's also the person who's going to help Merlin understand his destiny and fulfill his duty and find his role. And Gaius has a fantastic backstory. He's known magic. He's dabbled. He's been tempted by the dark side. So he can warn Merlin about the risks he's taking. His character is almost like a sort of an early scientist, an early Leonardo da Vinci. He's absolutely fascinated by science, by medicine, by magic, by the physical world.
What happens if he doesn't get the antidote?
And I'm afraid there's nothing more I can do for him. He's going to die.
So along comes Merlin into his chambers, and yes, there's a responsibility, but it's also somebody that he's got to work out. He's got to see what he can do and how. And at the end of the first episode, he's handing over this precious magic book and saying, OK, you're the new keeper of all of this. You'll become, if you like, my pupil, in as much as I can teach you.
Gaius is Merlin's mentor, really. As you probably know by now, Uther has banned magic in the kingdom. But Merlin is born with magical talents, and he finds it difficult to control them.
Magic must be studied, mastered, and used for good, not for idiotic pranks.
What is it to master? I could move objects like that before I could talk.
Then by now you should know how to control yourself.
I don't want to. If I can't use magic, what have I got?
So I'm his guardian and trying to guide him down a path of no magic. And I think I've got a sort of a darkish history with probably I was a bit of a magician myself at one time.
Action, trumpet!
And then King of Camelot, Uther Pendragon, is played by Anthony Head, who brings to the part this fantastic gravitas.
We have enjoyed 20 years of peace and prosperity.
He's like a benign dictator, and Camelot needs that, and Merlin and Arthur's stories need that. We need to know that we're in a world where it's dangerous. You know, there are dragons and evil wizards out there, and it's being ruled by a man who has conquered a lot of that and now rules with a fist of iron to keep everything in the place that he thinks is right.
Keep it there, because that's just not quite bright enough for me, and I worry about colours and things. So, yeah, so just let him come into that parade. That's fine. Thank you very much.
Start you from here.
I play King Uther Pendragon, who is Arthur's father and the king. And for reasons of my own, which will become apparent, I am responsible for forbidding magic in my kingdom. Basically, the land was ruled over by sorcery. It was basically when people start playing with sorcery, it can lead to the dark side. And so, in an effort to stabilise the kingdom, Uther has outlawed any kind of magic, good or bad. And basically, I think I'm probably a fair king. I'm just a little bit overshadowed by this, this desperation to sort of rule out any kind of any magic. If I get a sort of faintest hint of it, I start twitching.
Tony Head and Richard Wilson have done ridiculous amounts, probably more than most actors in the world, actually. And that was fantastically useful because they're both very generous. They both genuinely love working with young talent. And I think that was hugely important to this programme because their confidence and skills and knowledge rubbed off and made those younger actors feel comfortable, feel that they too could do it. Colin and Richard Wilson have a lovely on-screen relationship, so that's been a real bonus.
It's nice to be amongst the youngsters and their enthusiasm and their energies. I mean, Colin, who I have all my work with, Colin Morgan, who's Merlin, of course, and he's hugely professional, works like a trooper, and is always very keen to go over lines, and he's a very wise head on very young shoulders, so yeah, he's great.
It's been good sort of going for dinner with Anthony and stuff because you sort of get the experienced view on things of, you know, what this means and what's happening and what will happen, you know, all this sort of interesting business talk.
You don't patronise them. One is there if they want to come and ask questions, but the danger of being an older actor is that a lot of older actors want to tell you how to do it, which I think is very dangerous. And being a director myself, you know, I don't want to encroach on James's territory at all. So yes, I suppose there is a patriarchal element, but one wants just to be treated the same as everyone else, really, I suppose.
The four central characters are unknown. It's the beginning of, I hope, great careers for all four of them. We went for them because their auditions were excellent. We went for them because we wanted a freshness. We went for them because we wanted a particular age and a kind of particular unvarnished quality. It'll be fascinating to see how those people, how those four regulars, do you know how they change as actors? How they develop these characters, but also how they change as people, because it's a roller coaster ride coming to them.
I think casting is probably the most important investment of time in the production process. Because if you get it right, a lot of the energy and dynamic, a lot of the storytelling will unfold from there.
Right, and start walking towards camera for me.
It's about finding the individuals, it's also about finding the ensemble that will work together to make you feel that this is Team Callum.
That's right, you got it.
You're looking for sparkling eyes, you're looking for energy, you're looking for somebody who can transmit emotion. You're looking quite often for a feeling. People can come in and do incredibly little. There's very little that they're signalling, but there is a presence that you know is going to come across on the screen. And often it's instinctive and a gut sense, but something tells you this person is going to deliver. And I hope we've got it right.
But I think that's what Arthur's going to be doing. So.
I think as well, what we're going to have to prepare for on this show is their profile is going to change dramatically when this hits the screens, and that's going to happen while we're still filming.
That's what comes down to. Right.
It is exciting to see these actors begin, and it's fascinating as well to just see how they're going to evolve and change and what they're going to love.
It's quite good to be sort of naive about the whole scale of the project, because to be honest with you, I have no idea of the scale of the project. It's not something that my mind's sort of stopped to think about, so I just potter along enjoying what I'm doing because it's good fun. It's good fun and I'm doing what I want to be doing.
We need to get them the right media training and prepare them in the right ways for that, because that is a shock for any young actor. Many of them welcome it and thrive on it, and some don't. You know, some people don't welcome all that, even if they're actors. And I think it's about making sure they've got the equipment to deal with it. But there's lots of people who can help them and discuss that with them, who are specialists in that sort of stuff.
If you really think about it, if you kind of think about it too much, I guess it could become a bit overwhelming, but because you are kind of just coming to work and everyone's so grounded that it doesn't feel that big. But I guess if you stop and sit down and think about it, then it could become a bit daunting.
It's interesting to think, you know, that in a few years' time there'll be just like the David Tennant's, and if the thing works well. Yes, that's nice to be there.
There's nothing like watching someone's rise to fame. It's, you know, it's really nice watching somebody coming up and getting that chance and running with it.
None of us can choose our destiny, Merlin. And none of us can escape it.